Hello and welcome to episode 31 of In PS We Trust. My name's Davey and joined with me as always is Phil.
Hello, we're back again.
And Spencer.
Wagwan Shaggers.
Top Shaggers, salute! So we're a fortnightly PlayStation podcast and we each bring one topic of conversation to the table to go in depth on. But first, before we get into that, boys, what are you drinking?
Right, I always start, and I've fallen back on an old love of mine.
Hey, it's the Budweiser.
It's the birds. I've only got 5 left, but I do also have Fireball for if I have to take a shot for some reason.
Well, you are the reigning champion after the big quiz, so I think if there's anything that's to come from this, it's that you do better the more shots of Fireball you take. So I think it's only fair today that you just hit the button at least 3 or 4 times, just so you can rise up and be better for the podcast. It's better for our listeners. I mean, you put on a stellar performance on the last quiz.
Sure, but no.
Oh well. So how's Bud holding up after all this time off?
Well, it's quite warm, but I think that might be how I prefer my Bud, but that's just because I'm used to it. Because I always just buy a crate, put it next to me in my room, and I typically only ever drink it for podcast or for a Discord night with the boys. So I'm just used to room temperature Bud.
Warm beer and cold wine. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
That's how you roll.
He's just an absolute maverick when it comes to drinks. And speaking of mavericks, Phil, what are you on today?
Well, Davey, considering we've just come off the back of recording our Spoilercast from the Past, and we did the big blowout, and I had to take 10 shots of Jägermeister, which I'm still getting over, because I know fuck all about music and video games, as everybody's constantly been commented on. Thank you very much to everyone who sent in messages to me and Davey about that. Not a clue. So I'm taking it easy tonight. I'm just going to stick on the Fosters. But then I've got a little special because I've been over to the Chinese supermarket. For my birthday, someone was nice enough to buy me a rice cooker. And I saw this. It's the Saigon Export.
I can't quite see it, Phil. Can you put it... Oh, look at that bottle, mind.
It's got a dragon on it, so it must be cool. It's a Vietnamese lager, 4.9%. So I'll be sampling that throughout the show. And I'll give you a bit of an update once I open it, once I pop them bottles.
Oh, nice. It does look nice. Good design on that. Good design. I've gone, guys, for something I haven't done in a long time. And the last time I did this, I got fucking ruined. And it was just a normal episode. I'm not planning on getting trashed today because I think I pretty much did that on the last episode. But I'm on the Strongbows, boys. I've got a mixture today. I'm on the cloudy apples and I'm on the dark fruits. So I got 4 of each. So it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. And I just really felt like something sweet after that pure taste of disgust from losing the quiz and then from not even being able to get my words out on the last topic that we did back on episode 30. So today, hopefully, we're not going to get a repeat of that unless you guys loved it, in which case I'll get trashed every single episode. Just let us know. You can just write in and let me know on that one. But guys, it's been 2 weeks since the last episode. I really want to know what you've been up to. So let's move it on to what have we been playing?
This time on NPS We Trust, what have the boys been playing?
Spencer, we always start with you, so bring it in.
Right, well, I've had a bit of a quiet week, but a good friend of mine and fellow co-host of the podcast, yourself, Davey, gave me an early Christmas present, and that present was Call of Duty Vanguard.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go. You know I love COD. It was the easiest present you could have got me, but I fucking loved it. To be fair, I've only played it twice. I've played a bit of COD, like multiplayer, bit of zombies. I've not tried the campaign yet, but the multiplayer is class. It is fantastic, and I'm gagging to play more. The zombies? I love zombies. I've always been a big fan of zombies. I played COD 5 Zombies on my iPhone, or my iPod even, when I wasn't at home on my Xbox or my PS3. Because I did have an Xbox back then, sorry listeners. But zombies in this game, it's underwhelming. It's underwhelming. They changed it a lot. And it's shit.
Yeah, I got to echo those thoughts. I mean, I just got the platinum on the new Call of Duty on Vanguard. Just popped it this week, which I was super chuffed with. But there was an issue with it. So I had to play zombies for about 10 hours maybe. And there was a trophy in there which was get 10,000 kills. Now, normally on a zombies mode for Call of Duty, the whole point of it really is you get dropped in a map, you get an increasing round of enemies. So each round that goes on, the enemies get quicker, they get tougher, there's more of them. And your whole point of being in that area, on the latest CODs anyway, is to kind of uncover the secrets that are in that map, to uncover this Easter egg. And the more further and further you get into it, the kind of like deeper the challenges get, but there's something really satisfying with going for Easter egg on it. I really enjoyed it last year on Cold War. I absolutely loved it. So I was super chuffed to get into zombies, and I waited until Spence actually had the game before trying that section of the game. And good God, it was painful. It was so painful. Instead, what they've done is they've made it objective based. So you start off, you spawn in, you've got your base loadout that you've gone into that map with, and there's 4 different kind of portals that you can go through. And that portal may be like a blitz portal, which just survive for 2 minutes or something. Or it could be a transmit, I think it's called, which is where you just walk a little glowing beacon across a map. And they're okay. They're okay. But after you've done about 5 rounds, you've seen all the content there is. And for that 10,000 kills, the way I had to do it was go into one of these transmit maps where there's just enemies constantly spawning, sit there and just shoot 10,000 zombies. It took me hours. I listened to 2 episodes of Critical Role for that. That's how long it is. I just sat there and just listened to 2 entire podcasts and just thought, fucking hell, this is just such a shame. Such a shame. I mean, the entire game, the story's fantastic. Multiplayer, as you said, Spence, is absolutely brilliant. And this zombies mode just really, really feels tacked on, which is the first time I can say that about a Call of Duty in years, actually. Because even Modern Warfare didn't have any modes on it that were tacked on. But this really does feel like it's kind of just like a marketing thing, where they just chucked it on there just to say, oh, it's got zombies too. It's got extra content for you. I mean, that's my thoughts on it anyway, Spence, but it seems like you're kind of in agreement on this.
Completely, mate. The zombies is gash. I don't know what they were thinking. They changed it so much. And some of the ideas they have are cool. Like how you get special abilities from this weird statue. You have to trade a heart that you earn from doing one of the challenges. And trading that heart gives you a special ability that lasts until you swap it out. And they range from common to epic to legendary. And they just give you different buffs with different effects. That was a cool idea. Everything else in the game is dog shit. The objectives aren't fun. They aren't fun. It's just repetitive. Same map. It has to teleport you every single time you go into a portal, even though it's just taking you to the map. There's no different areas. It's all one big place. Just take you to a different area of that place. So there's not even a need for it. They got rid of the ray gun. Why? The ray gun's part of the fun. Getting that ray gun, you get that little bit of dopamine. As soon as you see the ray gun, you're buzzing. Nah, deleted it. Instead, you get freaking pistols with sights and sniper rifles that you don't want to get. Pack-a-punch is worse. They don't actually change the gun anymore. There's no cool specific pack-a-punch weapons, no cool designs. It's just a bog standard gun that's a bit stronger now. It's a waste. It's just a waste, and I wouldn't even call it zombies.
Do you think then that if there's going to be any additive content, because obviously we know there's the big Pacific update that's coming to Warzone, which is all Vanguard based. It's all the Vanguard weapons going into Warzone, and that's going to have an impact on the overall balance. And there's going to be some changes that they bring into Vanguard off the back of that. Can you see us getting a classic zombies mode in this, or do you reckon we're fucked for this year?
I think if they're smart, they'll give us classic zombies. Because that is... No, everyone's complaints about this game have just been about zombies. No one's complained about anything else. This game's fantastic. It's just the zombies. No one's playing it because it's awful. And all they have to do is either make a map, which isn't that hard, I don't think. It doesn't even need an Easter egg. Just make it classic zombies on a map. And that is it. Even just bring back old maps. If I could play freaking Der Ries or Natchdur and Toten on this, I'd play that for days. I'd love it. But they have to do it. If they don't, Zombies is dead until the next game or 2 games later.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree with you. It's just a damn shame. It's just a real damn shame. And God knows. I mean, there might be something at the Game Awards for this. I imagine that COD's going to have some kind of trailer there. You know, be it the Warzone update or something throwaway. But who knows? Maybe if we're lucky, our prayers will get answered and they might actually bring some kind of zombies content in. But as it stands right now, I wish they just hadn't bothered. I could have just done with like a Spec Ops style mode or maybe just Sledgehammer use a bit of grey matter and just create something themselves instead of relying on what Treyarch and what Infinity Ward do. But who knows? Maybe I'm asking too much from COD. Well, we might as well move it on to me because I've only got one more game to talk about. And I suppose that's it for yourself, Spence, isn't it?
Well, my other game, because I also only have 2 games to talk about, is also your game too. So yeah, you may as well lead it, mate.
Well, we decided to fire up the PlayStation Plus game from last month, which was Knockout City. Now, when this was originally unveiled, for you listeners who have a very good memory, we were saying, why would anybody want to play that fucking dodgeball game? It looks like a pile of shit. Well, we spent probably about 2 hours in it, I'd say, Spence. Would you say about that?
Roughly, yeah. But on and off, because you were AFK a lot of the time.
Yeah. It's not great. It's really not great. I don't know how this has such a big following, because to me, it just feels really basic. The whole point of it really is that there's, 3-on-3, I think it is, in like an arena, and there's dodgeballs, and some of them are just normal balls, and some of them have like special powers. You might have like a sniper ball, or you might have like a big exploding ball, and you can throw it, and then if somebody times it properly, you can then catch that ball from them that was thrown, and then launch it back, or do like kind of fake outs and things like that. I just felt like after the first hour that I'd seen everything that game had to offer, and I didn't feel, and granted, I could be coming from a place of ignorance here, but I didn't feel like there was much depth in terms of like player skill. I didn't feel like there was some kind of advanced technique that I had no idea about, or some cool ass play. It just seemed to me like as long as you're good at catching the ball, you're pretty much unbeatable in that game. It's okay. It's all right. I certainly wouldn't revisit it. And actually, I was glad because I didn't ping any trophies. So I was able to delete it straight off my hard drive after we played it. And now nobody knows I've actually played that game before. So apart from you listeners, I got no other evidence of actually having that game, which I'm very happy about. But how did you take it, Spence?
Mate, I'm surprised it took you an hour to see everything that game had to offer. To me, it was like 15, 20 minutes. That game is empty. It is 3v3. The special balls, some of them are cool. The sniper ball's fine, but it's more or less just normal ball. The cage ball is where it comes in. You hit that cage ball on someone, they're trapped in a cage, they become a ball themselves. And you just find the edge of the map, yeet them off, and that's it really. That's the most fun the game has to offer. You can also turn into a ball yourself, or your teammates can, and you can throw each other. That's a bit of fun, I suppose. Yeah, the game sucks. It doesn't even have like the core elements of dodgeball where if you catch the ball, they should be out or they should lose a heart, but they don't. The catching should be harder and it just should be more reward. And it should be life-based with no respawns. They catch the ball, your teammate comes back, like traditional dodgeball rules. But no, they don't. You just get to catch the ball.
And there was no Patches skin from the dodgeball film. I want to be Patches McAdams or whatever his name was. Where he's like, duck, dive, dodge. Like all these different things. I want that. I want that guy in there. I want the dodgeball team. I want to be able to go around with like a handlebar mustache, like Ben Stiller. How sick would that be? It's like the easiest like integration ever. I don't know how EA haven't done that yet. That's just free money for me. I might have even bought that DLC.
Would you?
No. No. No, let's be real. Let's be real. Even that wouldn't get me. Fuck me, no. Oh, dear, dear, dear. So, we love a rating. What would you rate it, Spence?
Oh, fucking a 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd probably go a 4. I'd probably go for a 4. It's still like, it was a working game, right? It works. It does what it intends. And I think if I was like a kid, I think I'd probably have a lot of fun with it. But I just demand more depth, I guess, from like a multiplayer game. Yeah, I'd go for a 4. And I'm being kind of kind on that. Sorry for you guys that love that, because it is quite a popular game, but it ain't for me. Now, Phil, you've been oddly quiet during this section, so I take it you haven't checked out Knockout City?
No, I didn't get the invite for that PS Plus Classic, and I'm kind of thankful I didn't get invited to play that because it sounds trash. Nothing about that game appealed to me, so I wasn't really up for trying it solo, and I would have only played it if I had got the invite from you boys. But again, I guess this one takes 2.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles, mate. We love that saying here. So that's it for me and Spence. What have you been playing then, Phil?
Well, Davey, I'm the same as you guys. I haven't really been playing a lot of games over the last 2 weeks outside of the one that won the Spoilercast from the Past. We recorded that on the 2nd, and now we're recording this episode on the 4th. So we've really only had a couple of days in between those. And it was right up to the wire for that game for me to complete it. It really was. For those who don't know, the Spoilercast from the Past is our supplemental episode where we pick 3 different games and we let you guys decide which one we're going to do a Spoilercast episode on. Metal Gear Solid won this time over Heavy Rain and Devil May Cry. I'm on the edit this time, so that should be out the second half of December, but we'll keep you updated on our social media platforms.
Right, guys. Well, this time of year is pretty chock full in terms of sales. I mean, Christ, we just had Black Friday, right? Now, there's loads of different video games that have gone up for sale and gone up for like stupid prices, even though they've only just come out. I want to know, have you guys picked up any bargains this festive period? Phil, might as well start with you.
Well, as the listeners know, it was my birthday last month in November 14th. And I was lucky enough to receive a couple of games for my birthday, as well as the game I bought on Black Friday, games I bought on Black Friday. So for the visuals, for the people watching us on Spotify and YouTube, I received Tormented Souls. For my birthday. That was a game, Davey, I know you reviewed on your YouTube, and it's a bit of a blast from the past and relates quite a lot to the game that can't be mentioned. Really good survival horror, so I can't wait to get my teeth into that game. I also received from yourself, Davey, The Walking Dead, which I haven't played. I think I might have played the first episode of this, but other than that, haven't really played it, and I've heard that game is stellar. On the Black Friday side of things, I may or may not have bought a game for Spencer, but it comes as no surprise what that game is going to be, considering I literally talk about it every episode. I have wrapped it, so it will be a surprise when you open it, but it might or might not be Death Stranding. From Davey, I have also picked up the Guardians of the Galaxy, because that was a ridiculous price on Amazon. I think it worked out as something like £35.
Yeah, it was an absolute steal. And I mean, we both said to each other, what are we going to get for each other for Christmas? And you were like, oh, I don't know, just some kind of game. Just get me a game. And I was like, oh. And then next thing you know, Guardians on sale. And I was like, yo, should we just get each other it for Christmas? And you're like, yeah, okay. So we've ended up just buying each other Guardians. So Guardians has been added to my backlog. Now, before the end of the year, and we do our end of year game discussion, I'm going to want to have played through Metroid Dread and Deathloop to completion. So I've got enough on my plate right now, especially just finishing the COD Vanguard Platinum. But I added to it even more. So for you visual listeners out there, of course, we've already spoke about it. I've got Guardians of the Galaxy ready and raring to rock. I then picked up Alan Wake Remastered. I'm super hyped to get into this. Although I didn't enjoy Control as much as I probably should do, I still enjoyed it enough to platinum it. And I am looking forward to seeing Alan Wake, and I've heard so many good things about it that I am really looking forward to actually sinking my teeth in and giving it a go. And then finally, much to Phil's dismay, I bought Jedi Fallen Order. So I bought a Star Wars game. I've heard it's fantastic, and I've heard it's just a really, really good single-player Star Wars game. I'm up for giving it a go. I mean, I love Respawn. I love Respawn anyway. I can't wait to dive in. I don't know when I'm going to dive in, because I've got enough on my plate anyway, but maybe it will be after February. After we get past Death Month and we get past Horizon and Elden Ring, maybe I'll have time. But who knows? I'll let you guys know on this section. What about yourself, Spence? Did you manage to pick up any bargains?
Well, seeing as you guys showed off for the watchers, I'll do the same. I only picked up one game this festive season, and it wasn't because of Black Friday or any sort of offer. It was because Oculus sent me an £8 code, or kind of an £8 customer thing, which they tend to do if you don't buy a game for a while. They think, you gotta buy something, come on. And they just send you £8. And the daily deal, when I got that £8, was a game called Time Stall, which is a physics-based puzzle game on the Oculus Quest. And when I first saw it, I remember it looking good. I hadn't seen it in a while, and then when it popped up on a daily deal, I thought, I remember that game being great, I want that. And it was £8.40. So with my £8 credit, it only cost me 40 pence.
That's incredible, isn't it? To be able to get that
bargain.
Who's gonna? I jumped in last time.
You carry on.
Man, that's a super bargain. I've just pulled it up on Wikipedia now, and I'm having a look at some of the visuals. It's a game from 2019 from Forcefield Entertainment, and yeah, I'm digging those visuals. I'd love to have a go on that.
Or maybe next time you have a party, I can bring it round.
Perfect. That's what VR is all about, I think. Getting your mates round, a couple of beers, bang the headset on.
Watch them bump into shit.
There's nothing more disorientating than being completely pissed out your head in real life, let alone when you're in virtual reality. So I can't wait to see Phil's living room get completely destroyed by you trying to do Job Simulator, completely trashed out your fucking head. But that's enough about talking about what we've been playing. I reckon we should bring it on to the next section. So guys, we have wrapped our first episode of Spoilercast from the Past. You all voted, and as Phil said earlier in the episode, Metal Gear Solid 1. That episode will be out a week on from the launch of this episode. But it's time for us to unveil what we're going to do for Spoilercast from the Past episode 2. Spencer, you always start off most of these sections. Do you want to bring in what you're pitching to the audience to vote on?
Sure. Well, the game I've chosen is a game I've played, but never to completion. In fact, probably never more than maybe 2 hours of my time I've given to this game. And I know that this game's fantastic. I know it has a crazy twist. I know the story's amazing, the gameplay's amazing. And it's always been on my list, but I've never committed time to it. So I would really love for Spoilercast from the Past to give me a reason to play this game. And that game is Bioshock 1.
Oh, shit! Hell yeah, that's a great choice. Oh, Phil's got it prepped. It's almost like he knew what it was beforehand. Hell yeah. Bioshock, that's a sick choice, mate. That is a sick choice. I mean, I played that game, I got the platinum, I've played it through countless times, but any excuse to go back to Raptures is always a good time for me.
Yeah, it came as a massive surprise that you hadn't have completed it, or you didn't know the twist when we were talking about IGN's best game of all time, because that ranked quite highly, if I remember rightly, through mine and Davey's passion for this game. So I cannot wait, if that wins, of course. But I'm not sure you're going to be able to beat my choice.
So what is your choice?
So I've gone for a 1999 survival horror from Capcom. Any ideas?
Depends. Are we still in what we've been playing technically, or no?
I'd say probably not, so I'm not going to guess. Tell me what it is, Phil.
Well, even though the game that cannot be mentioned is actually mentioned on the front of this game, it's not that game. It is Dino Crisis. And it has the game that we cannot mention, top right.
Oh, nice.
So it's very dangerous territory, this one.
It is. Christ.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we do the review of that, Spoilercast from the Past, we got to have the button on. We have to. Because that would be so hard. That would be so difficult for us. Jesus Christ. It is basically that game, but with dinosaurs. I haven't played that since it originally came out. So I'm more than happy to dive into Dino Crisis. That would be a great choice. Spencer, you ever played it?
Mate, never. I've not even seen gameplay. I think I've seen images, or maybe one of my friends, Puff DDD. I think I saw him streaming it for maybe like 5 minutes, and that is it.
Is the main character's name Regina, Phil?
Well, I'm trying to think back because I haven't actually played this game since it came out in 1999. And luckily, I have the Wikipedia page up, as you've asked, and it is Regina that you follow. She's a special agent's operative that you're following, and she's tasked with investigating a secluded island research facility, which seems very familiar, if you ask me.
I mean, the good thing about it is, Spence, for you, because you're a bit of a perv, is that she's in like a pretty skimpy outfit. It's like pretty much like a latex suit. And did you know, just a bit of trivia for you listeners out here, that in the game that can't be mentioned 3, Nemesis, you can unlock that outfit for Jill. And it's just a good time. It's just a good time all round. But I'll be looking forward to going back and seeing those pixels in a sexy, hot fashion. So with my choice a little bit darker than you guys. I've gone for The Walking Dead Season 1. Phil, I just bought it for you. Now, as you know, listeners, if you've been paying attention to this, every single year, I normally give Phil a game for Christmas or for his birthday, and that's normally my recommendation for a game. So he's had The Last of Us out of me, he's had God of War out of me, and this is the next one in line for... Oh, and I gave you Batman as well, but you haven't even played that yet. This is the next line from that. So this is a fantastic game. This is a Game of the Year winner from previous years, and it's just sensational. And I really want you to be able to play this. I know that, Spencer, you've played this before, haven't you?
I've played Season 1, 2, and maybe 3, but Season 1, oh my god, is so good. I would love to experience that again.
Yeah, and I think we could have a good discussion talking about our choices we made, what we did with Clementine, kind of just go all through it.
I am super thankful that you do that, Davey, because I'm not kind of the gamer that looks at IGN and when a game's 10 out of 10, I buy it. I like to try and make my own mind up about games generally. And yeah, I do miss out some of the classics, you know, God of War, The Last of Us. I've never played The Walking Dead. You know, these are massive games I've never played. And thanks to you, I am being forced to play them, but actually enjoying them at the same time. So
exactly. So listeners, it's up to you. Do you want Walking Dead? Do you want Dino Crisis? Or do you want Bioshock? The poll is going to go live on the date this episode goes live, and it will run until the 31st of December. Friday the 31st of December is when this poll will close, and then we will have the episode out with you sometime in January. If you want to find that poll, you can find it in the description of the episode below and on all of our social medias. Now, in terms of interacting with us as a podcast, there's multiple ways you can do that. If you want to write into the show and support us, you can write in pswetrust@gmail.com.
I run the Reddit, so I always post up a new post. Brilliant. About each episode, and there's always discussions going on about the things that we talk about. So why not join in, guys? The URL will be in the description below.
And of course, I'm in charge of the Twitter, so feel free to reach out to us there at NPSWeTrust, or again, as I always say, at any of our individual Twitter accounts, which will also be in the description below.
And on that note, guys, it's time for us to move it into quick news. Quick news. bum 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 banana bum bum banana bum bum banana bum bum banana ba 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 ba. First you're gonna quick, then you're gonna news. Gran Turismo 7 gets an official premium steering wheel, and it costs, brace yourself listener, $699.95. So if you are a car fanatic and you want to feel that road underneath you, you're going to have to pay premium top dollar for that experience. I know that I've bought a racing wheel for somebody who loves that experience before and shelled out that kind of money, and he didn't even play it. So don't make the same mistake as me, kids. If you want this wheel, you better play that fucking game when it launches in March.
Q is for
Quick.
N is for
News.
It's quick news. Game Awards host Jeff Keighley confirms Activision Blizzard is not part of this year's show outside the nominations, and says there's no place for abuse in this company or any of his communities.
Quick news. Sony could be planning a PlayStation mobile controller, a new patent suggests. The design shown basically depicts a Nintendo Switch type design with half a DualShock either side of your device. This means you can still get platinums even while taking a shit.
Just a cat noise. Devs behind DC Universe Online are working on a Marvel MMO. Revealed via an investor presentation, Daybreak Games' Austin-based Dimensional Inc. game studio is developing a new Marvel MMO. According to the same presentation, it will likely be a few years before we see a trailer or screenshot of the upcoming online superhero game.
Zap, 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 zoom. Quick news. We finally are going back to the Matrix. The Matrix Awakened is billed as an Unreal 5 experience with no further details other than it exists on the PlayStation 5. It's unclear if The Matrix Awakens is going to be a full game or just some kind of movie tie-in. But if we hear any more, be sure I'll be tweeting about it. So keep it locked to @PhilipHoy for further updates.
No silly noise this time. Just want to say cheers, boys.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Here's the quick news. The PlayStation Plus games for December 2021 have been revealed. We have Godfall Challenger Edition, which is our PS5, PS4 offering, Lego DC Supervillains, PS4, and Mortal Shell, PS4. But we also get some bonus PSVR games, and those are The Persistence, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, and Until You Fall. All these games will be available on Tuesday, December 7th until Monday, January 3rd. However, I do have to explain a little something. Godfall Challenger Edition isn't the entire game. It is basically just the endgame content that we're being given access to. Apparently the endgame is what has been updated the most and is what the developers have been putting the most focus on. In order to get the full game and access to the early sections, you would either have to buy the base game or upgrade to the digital deluxe version.
Stars! Quick news. The game that can't be mentioned 4, Remake, Wesker, has been shown. Okay? DC Douglas, who voiced Wesker in the original game that can't be mentioned 4, Jesus Christ, this is a hard one. Apparently he shared the image of his character art with multiple different fans via direct message on Twitter, asking them not to share it as he could get sued. Obviously, it found its way online straight away. Now, Wesker appears in the game that can't be mentioned 4 via the Separate Ways extra mode, where players control Ada and they interact with Wesker during the course of the game. In terms of the actual way he looks pretty much exactly the same, other than he's got some weird tattoo or art piece on his arm. We'll have to wait and see. It's only a matter of time until this game gets formally announced, because it is the most open secret in gaming that I've ever known.
Quick news. Kojima Productions is expanding with nearly 30 roles up for grabs. We have no idea what Kojima-san is cooking up, but the man himself, he says we're currently recruiting staff for Kojima Productions. We create AAA, original titles, and completely outrageous titles. I can't smell what he's cooking up.
Let's go back to basics, shall we, boys? Quick news. It Takes Two is being sued by Take-Two due to copyright of the game's title. As you listeners know, I'm a huge fan of this game, and I'm curious as to why it's taken Take-Two this long to file a claim.
Down, 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 down. It's quick news. It's quick and it's news. This is the final part of quick news, and I got something really positive to share with you all. Dying Light 2 has finally gone gold. It was originally announced at E3 2018 and is a follow-up to 2015's Dying Light. Now, after several delays, another game joins the death month as it launches in February 4th. And that is it for quick news for this episode. So let's bring it on to Rumour Has It.
Kick it! You wake up with a rumour and you don't want to go. You ask if it's confirmed and they still say no. So guys, rumour has it that Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection might not be including multiplayer. This will be coming to the PC and PS5 in early 2022 and includes Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy. How do you guys feel about this offering? And I know we're all big fans of Uncharted 4. Would this be something you guys would be thinking about possibly picking up on the PS5?
Well, speaking for myself, I kind of feel like as if I've kind of fucked up a little bit because I've platinumed Uncharted 1, 2 and 3, but I've never done Uncharted 4 more than the one playthrough. So this is kind of a perfect opportunity for me to be able to dive into Uncharted 4 again and kind of just get the platinum again. And I mean, I know I borrowed Lost Legacy from yourself, Phil, but I only put probably an hour into it. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't play any more at that time. So this is kind of a really good value for me. The only thing about the multiplayer, I kind of feel like it's a little bit lazy not adding it, especially when it's just the one game. Like with Blue Point's offering when they did Uncharted 1, 2 and 3, not including it makes sense then because you've got 3 different multiplayer modes to kind of, well, 2 multiplayer modes in 2 and 3 to be able to kind of balance on that and just kind of put out. It's a bit much. This does feel like a bit of a missed opportunity if I'm honest with you, but that's just how I feel.
Well, for me, I never played any of the multiplayer modes anyway. So for me, it's mostly irrelevant. I don't really care about the multiplayer in these games. I play these games for the story. I haven't platinumed any of them, but this, I've always wanted to. And this coming out will make me want to platinum 1, 2, and 3, and then get the 4th on this. And Lost Legacy, which I imagine has one. If it doesn't, it'd be criminal. Hopefully it's 2 separate platinums. If it's one, I'd be livid.
Did the original game, Lost Legacy, did have a platinum, as far as I remember, from my trophy list. So I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 different platinums for this and for these games. And not having the multiplayer doesn't make a difference in terms of the platinum, because the platinum in Uncharted games was always really good for the multiplayer offering. It was just like, play one game of this, play one game of that. And that was all it was. It wasn't like The Last of Us, where it was, you know, put 50 odd fucking hours into this online experience you don't want to actually play. Now, the thing about it is, though, the Uncharted offering, me and Phil, we actually sunk quite a bit of time into the Uncharted multiplayer, especially back in Uncharted 3. We played quite a lot of that. So to see it kind of go just into the ether and for us not to get that, I am actually quite gutted. Because I did have a lot of fun running around as Sully and just, you know, capping people and just randomly saying, I'm God damn. Just saying just random shit just out of nowhere. I really enjoyed those times, man. And I will miss that. I don't know how you feel about this film.
Victor goddamn Sullivan. There it is.
That's it.
Well, I know the Uncharted 2 multiplayer, that was quite popular. And of course, we, as you just said, we spent quite a lot of time into playing Uncharted 3 sort of multiplayer. But when it comes to Uncharted 4, I don't think the interest was there for us, at least anyway. I don't know about our listeners. Of course, if you are big fans of Uncharted 4's multiplayer, love to hear about your experience. So please email in or tweet us or jump on the Reddit with that one. But when it comes to trophies, I think the online stuff is always a bit of a barrier, especially, as you said, with The Last of Us being very difficult and kind of is a bit of a blocker for a lot of people to be able to get that platinum. But this being brought out on the PS5 and then removing those multiplayer things, for me personally, I think that's quite a bonus if that actually happens.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but the problem is that the trophies were just never bad. For the online stuff for Uncharted, it was only in The Last of Us that they just decided, you know what, we could do a lot with this trophy list and we're just going to be lazy as fuck with it. And we're just going to put it just tied to difficulty and then tied to a fucking bullshit multiplayer mode that, Spence, I know you sunk days into. Am I gutted it's gone? I'm kind of going to and fro on this because, like you said, when it came to Uncharted 4, we were way past it at that point. We weren't playing the multiplayer on Uncharted games by then. There was too many things to play. And, like, COD's taking enough of my time right now, let alone, you know, any other multiplayer games that are around that time, fighting games especially. Who knows? I doubt I'd have the time to be able to sink into it. I feel like this kind of just a missed opportunity, really, just to add value to this. Like, you think about what they did with the Death Stranding kind of remaster they've done with the director's cut, right? And the value they've added for like £5 extra. And with this, we got the Uncharted 4 as part of the PlayStation Plus collection. It's already there. Lost Legacy, sure, that's not. But is that worth paying like £50 for the game? Probably not, right? I suppose it all depends on what kind of improvements they make to this base game. And that's the big question at the moment, because we don't know that. What kind of things would you guys expect to see here?
I see what you're saying there, Davey. You know, are they going to take it down the route of Death Stranding and sort of add to the experience with the PS5 edition, or they're going to take it down the GTA route and kind of regress on the original? You know, you'd rather play the original than the reimagining here because it's a lot better experience. You know, it sounds like they are taking away the multiplayer, but hopefully they're doing something extra in the back end. They're going to up the res of the game. You know, are we going to get a better experience? Is there going to be sort of more missions in it? Are they going to add anything to it? I just don't know where they're going to go with it, but they've got to add something if they're going to take away kind of a big section of the game, which would be the multiplayer.
What do you think, Spence? What do you reckon they're going to do with this? I
mean, we have it on the PS Plus collection, and because of the PS4 Pro enhancement, we already have a 1440p version of this game. Or of Uncharted 4 at least. Unless they give us 4K 60 ray tracing, there is probably no reason to buy this whatsoever. If you have a PS5, which you need unless you have a PC, fair enough. Getting it on PC, yeah, that's fine. On PS5, you have the game for free. I wouldn't buy it if it didn't have 4K 60 ray tracing. I know that for a fact. I'd just buy Uncharted Lost Legacy on the PS Store for a tenner, rather than buy a whole full-fledged £70 game, which I imagine this probably will be.
I mean, I imagine it's going to have the ray tracing. When I look at the difference between how Spider-Man was and Spider-Man Remastered was, and the difference is night and day in that. They brushed up Spider-Man to look as good as Miles Morales did. It looked just as good. So I have no doubt that they'll at least add 4K 60 ray tracing. I kind of feel like that's just be the standard, though. That's like just the level you go to just to kind of say, we did it, right? We did a remaster on it. I feel like they kind of need to do more. I feel like they need to do more, especially as it's free. But judging by this rumour, and I actually believe this rumour, that's the worst thing about it, I believe it. I am kind of gutted. Will I buy it regardless if it's 4K 60 ray tracing? Yeah, I probably will. because I've been wanting to go back into this game. I don't own Lost Legacy, but for somebody that owns both of those things, I don't think there's enough reason there for you to need to double dip and to go back in. What about yourself, Phil? You own both of these parts. Are you going to get onto this or not?
I guess it all depends what price point it comes out at on the PS5. You know, is it going to be a full price game, or are we going to see some sort of reduction because it is a remaster? As you said, I own both of them. I own both of them on the PS4, and I've only recently, in the last, I suppose, year or two, played both of the games. So is that really enough time? So yeah, the question comes to me: is it going to be at the right price point, or are they going to add anything that wants me to dive in? You know, is there anything extra that I want to have, or I have to experience?
Well, I suppose the question is then, obviously I'm siding on the fence that I believe this rumour to be true, and that there probably isn't going to be multiplayer. Taking it back to the original rumour, what do you guys think about it? Do you think that's true, or do you think that no chance, they're definitely going to include it?
I think for me, it probably makes sense for them to remove the multiplayer. Obviously, this is coming out on PS5 and PC, and I know PlayStation, even though on some games, such as one of my favourite games of all time, Portal 2, they seem to get that multiplayer aspect nailed. You know, the interplay between PS3 and PC worked perfectly, but I know they've struggled with that ever since. So that might be a barrier for them. That might be a reason where they've just gone, because it's coming out on two platforms, we're not going to do the multiplayer, because technically it's a lot of work. So I can believe that it's going to be coming out, and I can believe they're going to be ditching the multiplayer. So rumour confirmed from me.
And yourself, Spencer?
I think the rumour is true, and I'm fine with it, to be fair. I agree with Phil, everything he said. Obviously, crossplay worked really well back then, but that was a Valve effort, wasn't it? It wasn't a PlayStation effort. PlayStation suck at crossplay. Crossplay is iffy as is. Anyway, there's always issues with crossplay.
It's their platform. How can't they get it right?
Yeah.
How can a third-party developer come in and just be like, right, here's the technology, here's the limitations you're providing us, and we'll just get it right. And you can't even get it right with no limitations because you own the platform.
Also 15 years ago.
This was PS3 Sony minds. PS3 Sony were pretty dodgy. Crossplay works perfectly now. I mean, we're playing Vanguard with PC players all the time, and other than the fact that we're getting lasered across the map, it does work perfect. So
I was going to say, how do you know they're PC players? Because they're beating you.
No, it comes up. It comes up with the icon to show what they're playing on. So you get to see if someone's like a base PS4 because we spawn in like 5 seconds before they do, or you get the PC crowd where you're just, they're doing 360 no scopes like they're watching MLG videos back in 2011. It's still that kind of crowd, it is a bit of a madness, though. It is a bit of a madness.
Cool. Well, it seems like we're all sort of in agreement with this. We kind of believe the rumor, and we kind of also believe that they're going to be removing the multiplayer. But we'll have to see where it goes, and we'd love to hear your thoughts about it, guys and listeners. So make sure to tweet us, jump on the social medias, and let us know if you think that the Legacy of Thieves collection coming out on PS5 won't include multiplayer.
So, boys, rumour has it there's a new Bioshock game in the pipeline. Supposedly it's going to be called Bioshock Isolation, and it's going to be getting announced in Q1 of 2022, according to new rumours circulating today. Well, not today. According to new rumours that circulated on the 30th of the 11th. This game's rumoured to be set in the 1960s and based in Antarctica. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I've not played Bioshock 1 or 2. The only one I've played, and to completion, is Bioshock Infinite. But I loved that game. I thought it was great. I'm excited about this. And now that Bioshock might be our Spoilercast for the Past game, if you all vote for it, please do. It was my choice. This would give me even more incentive to play the Bioshock series. So I'm looking forward to this. I hope this is true. What about you boys? What do you think of this rumour? Davey, why don't you start?
Sure. So this rumour's a bit weird, to be honest, because we've known that a Bioshock game is been in development for a long time. It's actually been in development for at least 4 years, as far as I'm aware, as far as memory serves anyway. But we get in a title, Bioshock Isolation. To me, that rings of two things, right? It either rings of The Thing, one of my favourite films of all time, which is set in Antarctica. Makes perfect sense. Or space. And for me, I always thought that Bioshock's next natural evolution would be space. You've been underwater, you've been in a floating city, next thing space, right? That makes perfect sense to me. But maybe they thought, do you know what? Maybe we need to spice it up and get some ice environments. We haven't had any ice environments. We haven't had any fire environments either. So maybe Bioshock 4 is going to be... Bioshock 5, sorry, is going to be Bioshock Mount Vesuvius, right? And it's in a volcano, right? Who knows? Who knows? Personally, I'm just super hyped to hear Bioshock Rumours again and to see it come back. And I'm telling you guys, I would not be surprised if this is shown at the Game Awards this year. I would not be surprised at all. Taking it back to your original question, do I believe this? Yeah, I 100% do. I could see it being in space or in the Arctic, and I'm happy for either. But what about yourself, Phil? You're a diehard Bioshock fan, same as myself.
Well, Davey, I've got a slight bit more information than what Spencer originally presented. I've been doing my research on Bioshock Isolation, and apparently the leak which I've read, it claims that the setting will be the setting of the game will take place between two different cities that are opposed to each other. One of these cities will lie underground and led by a dictator who is waging war on a second city that sits above. So I don't know if they're going to be taking it to space. It looks as if it's going to be the people that live underground versus the people that live above ground, from what the leak is saying. Very simplistic there.
So like the molemen, which are always the worst kind of men. You know, you can't trust somebody who lives like a mole, right? I think it's just something about that just makes me just doubt anybody, right? When you got no natural light, like a mole. Something about moles, their squinty eyes throw me off.
I mean, Davy's ideas could be incorporated in that as well. They could live underground on the moon.
Yeah, possibly. But I think it's going to be more of an Arcane kind of situation where we're going to get, the underground versus Piltover. Is that kind of situation?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds cool. And I mean, you could really set up some good, unique city environments by being one underground and one being above ground. The above ground obviously being the affluent city. It's got all the same... The problem is it's just so obvious, though, in terms of its, social message. The best thing they could do would have the above ground be fucking shit and have the below ground be really, really good, because that would kind of put it on its head. Because we've seen it in Elysium, we've seen it a million times in different movies where whoever's underground or at the bottom is always in the shit. Whereas if they had it that you go underneath to escape the ice, to escape the barren environment above, and down and below is heated because you've got magma around you or whatever, right? And it's it's just nice. They've just made it opulent down there, and above ground is where they send all the shitters. That's where you live, right? You live in the fucking waste. You're dealing with polar bears going through your fucking bins every Thursday when you put them out. Whereas you don't have that downstairs. You just got the moles. And as much as I hate moles, maybe they're cool down there. Who knows?
Well, let's add moles to the long list of animals that you hate. That going with spiders and snakes. It's only sharks you really like, I think. But Davey, going off my earlier reference of Arcane, you should definitely watch that, because they have a slightly different twist on the people above ground being the rich, affluent people, all living in luxury, and the people downstairs just living in poverty. There is a slight twist on that, but I highly recommend that to yourself and all the listeners, actually. It's an incredible series on Netflix. But we're going way off the point here. I'm just plugging riot after riot after riot products here, talking about Arcane.
Yeah, it's just League of Legends in it, so it just puts me off immediately. I always just think, I bet I could come up with a better solution for your meta than any of your pro players, even though nobody listens to me and it all falls apart. But it is something that I've heard that we should give a watch to, so maybe I will. And after we just watched the new Game That Can't Be Mentioned movie, and I realised that, my life can't get any worse than this, that maybe this is time that I turn to League of Legends to uplift it a little bit and make me believe that video games can live in another medium outside of video games. So who knows? But taking it back to the rumour itself then, how do you feel about this, Phil? Are you excited by this, or are you... How are you feeling?
I'm massively excited about it. As I've said, I've already done my research on it and then brought a little bit extra to the conversation. I've owned all these games anyway. I own them throughout all the PlayStation series. But my missus, I know for Christmas, she has bought me the Bioshock collection. And because of the Spoilercast from the Past, the next one up, if that does win, I'll be playing it on the PS4 version of Bioshock. It won't be the old PC version, which I showed the viewers earlier. So yeah, cannot wait. I totally believe the rumor, and I'm really looking forward to a next edition of Bioshock. And I know there's always a wicked twist, right? So who knows? Possibly what you're saying, Davey, might come into fruition in this game.
And Spencer, you've been oddly quiet on this. How are you feeling about this, especially with the new information that Phil's given over, with having the Moleman versus the Arctic lads? How are you feeling about this kind of split, this dichotomy between the cold and the warm, which is how I'd do it if I was designing this game? The magma lads. And the polar bear boys, either those two camps, the moles.
I wondered why Davey updated his Twitter to say he works for 2K Games.
I'm the insider, it's me. I'm the guy who shared this rumor. No.
Game director.
God, I wish. You wait. You just see the sequel to that shark game we played a little while ago that broke the R1. Maneater. Just see the sequel to that, basically. But just set in the game that can't be mentioned universe. Just, the best game ever made. Anyway, Spencer, taking it back. So, what are your thoughts on this? Are you excited by this? Does this make you want to play Bioshock, or do you wish it was in a different location rather than being set in the Arctic?
I mean, the Arctic is a bit strange. I wouldn't have expected it, but Bioshock, I think, likes to do what you wouldn't expect. That's very much the kind of game that it is. And obviously, you said yourself, it's so obvious what's going to happen, but it's Bioshock. So it's definitely not obvious. They're probably picking a setting to make you think you know what's going on, just to be like, fuck you. Guess what? Everyone's warm. Somehow. The snow's hot here. It might be. Who knows? The wind's cold.
Yeah.
Could be freaking crazy, but this rumor is very much making me want to play the Bioshock series. And if I do get through the Bioshock series in time for this, if it's true, I'd happily pick it up. I'd love it. I'm sure I would, as long as I enjoy the Bioshock games. I loved Infinite, so I don't see why I wouldn't. But I think this rumor's true. There's too much information for it not to be true, I think. And I'm looking forward to it. I sincerely hope it is true.
I think, seeing as how much has come out now just before the Game Awards, I'd bet money on this being there at the Game Awards. I would bet bottom dollar. The thing is now, any rumours that are around about this time, and granted, this has probably been the most buttoned up the rumours have been any time we got near the Game Awards. Normally we've known kind of everything that's going to be shown there, other than a few kind of golden exceptions there. This has been really buttoned up. We're a few days out. It's out literally in like 6 days from us recording this episode. And we have no fucking clue. So, I pretty much would bet anything that Bioshock's there. I'd bet anything. And I will fucking pop off. The only thing that I think is worth mentioning here that I haven't so far is that it's a damn shame that Ken Levine isn't on board with this project anymore. He's not doing it. Ken Levine is the guy who did Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite. He didn't do Bioshock 2. And he's the kind of genius behind the entire thing. And so for him to step away, and he's got his own project that he's doing, which we still haven't really seen anything from, it does mean that this is a brand new creative team on this. It probably won't live up to the same level as Bioshock 1 in particular, but we'll wait and see.
The guys that are sort of heading up this project are called Cloud Chamber. So they're an American video games developer based in California, just for a bit of background there. I don't know. I've never heard of Cloud Chamber before.
No. So I don't know if this is going to be on the same level, but I imagine, especially with 2K, they do look after their franchises, other than the most recent GTA. But they do generally look after their franchises. So we'll have to see what happens here. As I'm saying, listeners, give it a week, 2 days from the date of this episode going live, and I bet you'll have seen it, because I bet my fucking bottom dollar on it.
I have a bit more information to follow up on Cloud Chamber. Cloud Chamber is a studio comprised of veteran developers from the Bioshock series. So they worked on Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite. So those hopes, I think they can stay.
Well, as long as it's not like a Back for Blood kind of situation, where the ex-developers from Left 4 Dead jump over and try and remake the same game because it didn't hit home.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the key people that make shit happen. Like, you think, if they've tried to make a Metal Gear game without Kojima, is it going to be a Metal Gear game? Probably not, right? It's probably going to miss all the things that make Metal Gear what it actually is. And Bioshock without Levine? Sure, Bioshock 2's good, but it's only good because it's built on the foundation of Bioshock 1. Infinite, you wouldn't have had Infinite without Ken Levine there. And that is my worry with this. But with it being so long since we had a new Bioshock entry, an entire generation, I'm just happy for anything to return, to be honest. So I'm going in with open arms and open mind, and I'll look forward to seeing whatever they show us in hopefully only a couple of days' time. Now, guys, that's it for our rumours. Let's bring it into the topics. Stop! Topic time! Okay, guys, we're on to the first topic of the night, and this is all about the Game Awards. Now, last episode we spoke about what games we were kind of excited by that were going to be there, and games that we'd add to the list for our Game of the Year. But I'm more on about what they're going to show here at the Game Awards. Now, years gone by, we've had some fantastic announcements. We saw our first look at Elden Ring last year. We've seen some absolutely brilliant things. Now, I want to know what you guys reckon is going to be here. And then after we do that, I kind of want to know what your hype levels are going into this. So first off, when we do speculations, the best thing we can do is put shots on the line. So we're going to put this into our normal way of doing it, which is safe, possible, and crazy. 3 different predictions, and they each got a sliding scale of shots. So if your safe comes in, that's 1 shot. Possible, 2 shots. Crazy, 3 shots. Let's hear them, boys. Spencer, what is your safe bet?
Right. Well, I'm not sure how safe this actually is, but I think strongly it will be shown. And that, I don't think we've seen it yet. If we have, then I'm a fucking idiot. But I think we'll get a new trailer for God of War and an actual release date.
Whoa. You reckon release date and trailer here?
I think we'll at least get a new trailer.
No, you put both in your prediction. That's got to be both, man.
Well, my
The more
notepad just
information
says
you
God
put
of
into
War.
these, the more information you put into these predictions, the riskier it gets.
Yeah,
My
definitely.
notepad
Yeah.
says God of War. So they could mention it when nominating another game.
Oh, come on. That
No, of
doesn't
course
count. That doesn't
Of course
count.
doesn't count. I'm thinking we get a new trailer. I'm hoping a release date.
Okay. All right. Okay, fair. Phil, what about yourself? What's your safe?
Well, my safe, and I did choose this before we recorded tonight on the quick news. I think because we've got the Matrix Resurrection coming out on the 22nd of December, and we've got Keanu Reeves and we've got Carrie-Anne Moss, Neo and Trinity, I think they're giving away an award at the ceremony. We're going to see some of the Matrix game at the awards.
Okay. All right. So you think they'll show some of that Unreal 5 experience there?
I hope so. I'm hyped for the game, you know, or whatever it's going to be.
Okay. So my safe, boys, is I reckon they're going to announce and show Returnal DLC. I think they're going to have some kind of expansion to Returnal that they're going to showcase here. I don't know what form that is. I don't know if it's paid, if it's free. Not going into any of that. I reckon Returnal is going to be shown and it's going to be new content. And that is my safe prediction. So, we're on to our possibles. This is where it starts getting a little bit dicey here. But if these come in, it's always a good time. Spencer, what's your possible?
Before I answer that, do you think they're going to add a Returnal story that makes sense?
Well, it could make sense. It could be that we're just not smart enough to figure it out. There is that possibility. But no. No, I don't. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's going to be new weapons, new areas, new bosses. And that's fine by me. I'm not even going to use a new weapon. What am I on about? I got the fucking carbine. That's all I need. I just need that Hollow Seeker, all the Hollow Seeker, and that's it. Just some new bosses. That's all I need. That game's fucking goated. So what's your possible, mate?
Right, well, my possible, I changed it during the start of the podcast because mine was 3 PlayStation games, and I thought, you know what, I'll try branch out a little bit. So I thought I'd go towards Nintendo, which, as we know, I hate, and if this game does get rumoured or shown, I'm not paying for it. So this game I've chosen is Breath of the Wild 2. Maybe we'll finally actually see more about that game. Because they showed a trailer ages ago, like fucking 2019, 2020, ages ago. And then we saw a little bit of gameplay, like maybe just under a year ago. And it's been quiet since. So I'm thinking maybe we'll get shown a bit more. And again, I'm not gonna say a date. A trailer.
Come on, we're getting possibles now, so we can get a little bit more specific with it. What do you reckon? Do you reckon a date?
I'd like to see a date. I'm hopeful they give us an actual date, and it's late 2022. What I think we're gonna get is a trailer, and it's saying 2023.
Oh, 2023. Oh, that'd be late. If it's 2023, I think that's far too late. Yeah. Do you know what? I actually agree with you on this one. I reckon this is going to be shown. I reckon that's pretty safe, actually, to be honest. It's been quiet for quite a long time. The game is supposed to come out next year. I don't know if that's been announced or not, but I think it is supposed to come out next year. I wouldn't be surprised, man. I wouldn't be surprised to see a date, and sure, that date may move. It might be like a placeholder date. It might be like Q3 or autumn 2023 or 2022, autumn 2022, and you think, oh, okay. And people go mental for it. And I gotta say, I went pretty wild for the last trailer. I thought it was pretty good. We'll see. I wasn't a huge fan, as we all know, of Breath of the Wild. But I'm hopeful. You know, I'm hopeful that maybe they've somehow unpacked more power from the Switch and we can have more than 3 enemies on screen at a time. But we'll see what actually happens here. What about yourself, Phil? Would you be hyped seeing that possible thing of Breath of the Wild? Would you be excited by that, or would that be just kind of run by you?
Not for me, seeing as I didn't even play the first one.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You didn't, did you?
Didn't play the first one. No. Sorry about that one.
That's all right. Well, what's your possible?
Well, sticking with PlayStation, seeing as we're on a PlayStation podcast, and I remember how hyped we were when Insomniac dropped Spider-Man 2. They dropped Wolverine. My possible is we're going to get an update on that. I'm not saying we're going to get both. I'm not saying we're getting either one. I'm just saying we're going to get some kind of update, and that's going to be as open-ended as you like.
That is a cop-out if I've ever heard one, mate.
No, I'm not standing for that. You've got to pin it down a little bit more.
What do you want from me?
I want to know either a game that they mention or whatever form that game is in. They can't just be like, and remember, Insomniac's making Spider-Man 2, and you'd be like, right, boys, 2 shots for you. No, you've got to specify what kind of way this is done to us.
Okay, well, with Spider-Man 2, obviously, I want more than just the trailer. I want some sort of gameplay. And I guess the same with Wolverine. I want some gameplay, because we didn't see any gameplay with Wolverine. We just seen him spike the claws at the bar, didn't we? So, yeah, I want to see gameplay for both those games.
Both of them, for possible.
No, definitely. Both gameplay for one of them.
Okay, all right. Fair.
Gameplay for one of them.
So it could be either Spider-Man 2 or Wolverine.
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
I don't like that, but I'll allow it.
Okay.
Allow it. Allow it. We all want it so badly. Wish it into existence. Come on.
Speaking of wishing it into existence, my possible is we've heard rumours of this for a long time. I reckon the Metal Gear Solid remake is going to be announced here. I don't know if it's going to be shown. I reckon it'd be kind of like a CG trailer, but it's going to be announced here. I reckon it's going to be announced. The way I'd do it, if I was going to announce it, would just be like you'd have wind blowing, you'd have snow going, right? And then you just have just this thing where someone's like, just be a helicopter landing, right? And then you just see...
Would it be a Hind D?
A Hind D. Dun, 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 Metal Gear Solid. Boom! And then be like, fuck! That'd be so sick, man. That'd be so sick. Or just to literally just be like, you just see a cigarette just going down. And it goes on the floor, stomps it into the snow. And it just flashes up. Kept you waiting, huh? Ah! I'd go wild. I'd go fucking insane, man. That I don't need gameplay. I don't need anything like that. I just need to know it's actually happening. Oh my god, I'd go fucking insane. I'd go nuclear. There'd be nothing left of South Wales by the time I was done with that. It'd be off the map. Oh,
I've got one for you, Davey. What if all the time behind Jeff Keighley on stage, there's just a cardboard box, and all through it, you look at it and go, "Isn't that the cardboard box from Metal Gear?" And you're just watching it, and they don't mention it all the way to the end. And then they do a CG kind of exclamation mark above Jeff Keighley. And then out pops Snake. And everyone, and then it just fades to black.
Oh, what? It's just David Hayter. It's just David Hayter comes out the box
bang
himself.
It in, sure. He's been hiding in it for, I don't know how long the awards are. 2 or 3 hours. He's just been sat in that box ready to jump out and surprise everybody and rock everyone's world.
He's proper dehydrated. He's like been under studio lights in a box for like hours. So he's like near death by the time he comes out. Kept you waiting. Oh.
Yeah, fucking 3 hours. You were meant to pop out after the first section, David. What have you been doing? Can someone check if David's still alive?
Is he okay in there? Poking a stick through the little hole. Oh, I'd go fucking mental for that.
All joking aside, I would absolutely fucking love that if that was going to happen.
Yeah, that'd be insane. I think it's a bit of a reach putting it in possible, but my crazy is just fucking mad. So I thought, well, it makes more sense it being there than anywhere else. And I can see it potentially happening. I mean, Christ, it would steal the show easy. But Spence, let's bring it back round to your crazy. So what is your fucking out there prediction that you probably don't think will happen, but you hope with all your balls will happen?
Right. I have to change mine, actually, because mine was gameplay of the Wolverine, and I don't want two of us being able to deliver shots because of one reveal. So I'm going to change mine. Going back to Nintendo, a trailer, but I'd like to see gameplay. So because it's crazy, I'll go with gameplay shown of the new Metroid Prime. Because that's been quiet.
Wow. So we've just come off the back of Dread, one of the Game of the Year nominees. And you think they'd announce Prime?
I think Metroid Dread will win Game of the Year, and they'll slap Prime on the back of it and be like, Metroid's just won. Take some more.
Whoa, that'd be sick if it was. I'd fucking go wild for Prime.
I'm pretty happy with that prediction because it means I'm not going to be taking 3 shots.
Yeah.
I cannot see that happening.
No,
it's too close to Metroid Dread.
Yeah, there's no way. That's one that's just never going to happen. And this would be one of those things that if this actually does happen now, this would be one of those things that's cut from the podcast. You know, where like people would clip this and be like, no, it's never going to happen. And then we'd go to like episode 32 and be like, fucking hell, can't believe it happened. And Spence just dishing out shots to us left, right, and centre. That'd be wild, though. I'd fucking go wild for that. That'd be mental. Yeah, it really would. What about yourself, Phil? What's your crazy?
So my crazy is that Jeff Keighley wears shoes with his suit.
No.
No. I've got a real crazy one. Right, okay. My crazy prediction is that we're going to get some announcement of a next PlayStation 5. Okay, stay with me on this. It doesn't necessarily need to be a PlayStation 5 Slim, but a PlayStation 5 that uses more readily available materials and is easier to manufacture. You know, there's been so many problems with getting PS5s out into the wild, and there's been such a blocker in people being able to afford them. So if they could release a PS5 maybe at a lower rate and still give that experience to people, you know, that would be a big win for me if they could somehow achieve that. I don't know what form it'll be in. It's proper open-ended. I'm sorry, guys, but I just want PS5s out there for everyone to buy.
I mean, I'm happy accepting that because there is no fucking chance of that happening. Literally, we got more chance of seeing Prime there. That's what I'm feeling about it. I mean, I don't know about you, Spence.
If they figured out a way to get it out, get it cheaper, manufacture it for less, they definitely wouldn't talk about it. They'd keep the price the same, spend less money making it, get more out, and just make more money. That's literally what they did with the new revision they did. It would just be a new revision and would not even tell people.
So my prediction is new revision, but part of it is that it becomes more readily available for people to buy.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
All right.
One, sincerely.
Yeah. Well, at least I don't have to worry. My crazy... And to be fair, this is fucking mad. Infamous returns in any form, either remake, remaster, or new entry. I think Infamous, we haven't seen it since the start of PS4. It's been dormant for a long time, and obviously the studio who worked on it are now working on Ghost. They most recently did Ghost. But we don't know what Ben's up to, right? And the rumour was originally that they were doing The Last of Us, remake before they got booted off it and Naughty Dog took over. I could see them being put on remaking this and remaking the infamous first two games for PS5 as a way for them to do it. I'm not saying it's definitely going to be them, but I could see them coming back and doing this because there's that rumour that's been circulating for a while that Sony are going to be teasing a remake of some type here, of a fan-loved game. So my heart was telling me, go for Resistance, right? Go for Resistance. You love Resistance. But Insomniac have got their fingers in too many pies right now with Wolverine and Spider-Man 2. I can't see them doing Resistance anytime soon. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go out my wheelhouse a little bit. I'm going to go for Infamous. And that's my hope, that we get Infamous 1 and 2 or some new variation of Infamous. Basically, if Infamous is shown there or announced, that's my crazy. Because that franchise has been dormant for a long time. Are you guys happy with that? And would you be excited by that announcement? Spence, what do you reckon?
I mean, I played Infamous. I remember the PlayStation service went down. PlayStation got hacked on PS3 and then they gave people free games. My free game was Infamous and I played the shit out of it. Infamous was great. I would love to see that 4K 60 ray tracing. The lightning effects on the glass would be sick. That game would be freaking awesome as a remake. As much as I'd love it, it's not happening. But that's why it's crazy. And if it does happen, I will eat my socks.
You'll eat 3 shots, mate.
Yeah.
That's what you'll eat. What about yourself, Phil? What do you feel about that crazy prediction?
Well, I'd be more excited if it was Resistance over Infamous, definitely. I haven't really played any of the Infamous, apart from maybe watching you play some of Infamous previously. Yeah, not a game for me, and I wouldn't be hyped, but obviously you've already confirmed that you would be giving the 3 shots to Spencer, so if it did happen, it wouldn't touch me anyway, would it?
Maybe I'll have a couple more from the Metal Gear Solid leftovers, you know? I'll have a couple there to spread around when all 3 of my predictions come in, when someone in our podcast finally gets the hat trick, and they get all 3 come up gold, because so far we got a pretty bad run of these predictions. In fact, I think the only person who's actually scored any has been Spence himself. I think. Have you had any come in, Phil?
I predicted Spider-Man, didn't I? And the last one we did.
Oh yeah, I wasn't too happy giving you that one though. You made it so vague that it could have been anything.
That's what he
but
does. That's what he does.
he was playing the game. He was playing the game, and but he did get it. Fair play. And I think you and me have had one each. I think I predicted God of War on a previous one, and I think we've had that, but none of us have had a triple. None of us have had a triple. So could this be the one? Who knows, listener? You'll only have a day to wait, because the show is Thursday, December 9th. Now, guys, I want to know, what are your hype levels going into this year's Game Awards? Obviously, we've already discussed about how we feel about the games which should be nominated, and we're not overly too excited about those, apart from yourself, Spencer, with It Takes Two. But going into this and seeing these predictions and seeing the things that we put forward here, would it be fair to say that our hype levels are pretty much maxed out on this? Phil, let's start with yourself.
I think every time the Game Awards come around, I'm pretty hype. I really enjoy the show. As much as I give Jeff Keighley a bit of banter when it comes to him wearing his suit and his trainers, outside of that, I love the Game Awards. I always tune in. I always try and watch them live. And, we talk about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. It gives us loads to talk about when it comes to content for the show. And yeah, ultimately, it does drive some of my buying decisions. If something does win an award, I might look at that as a possibility as something I'll buy,
And what about yourself, Spence?
I mean, firstly, I want to say I'm very surprised none of us predicted the game we can't mention 4 make and Dead Space remake gameplay, because I was debating putting that in there. I'm very surprised, but they might get shown. My hype level, it's high, because we've not had a lot of announcements lately at all. I'm excited. I'm hoping we get not just something big, a few things big, and for the love of God, just show me more Elden Ring. Please. It could be the same trailer.
It's like 2 months away, man. Do you really want to see any more?
I want to see everything. I'm frothing, mate. I'm desperate for it.
Just waiting to accept Elden Ring's giant throbbing knob.
Yeah.
Straight in.
I'm gaping, mate.
Gaping is just never a good term, is it? I don't think I've ever had a woman say, "Oh, I'm fucking gaping for you," ever. I think it put me off. They'd be like, oh.
I thought it was gapped. I thought the expression was gapped.
You keep saying this like it's a thing.
It's definitely
I swear
a thing.
it's not a thing.
Definitely
I
a
don't
thing.
think that's a thing.
Right into the email, npswetrust@gmail.com.
Let us know about gapped. Yeah, well, I feel the same as you guys. I'm proper hyped for this year. I think it's going to be a great showing. And like you said, Spence, there's been so much which has been just rumoured but not actually shown, that I think this could be a really good year for us. And with the kind of gap that's built in with no E3 at the moment, the gap, oh my God, I can't believe I just said gapped.
Gapped it.
I gapped it. I fucking gapped it, boys.
Mate, just shell out.
Stop saying all these terms, mate, like as if you know. It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
When you know, and if you don't know, then learn.
What I'm saying is, right, with E3 being gone the last couple of years, the vacuum of video game announcements is gone. And so it's been split up into these state of plays, into these Nintendo Directs, into these like different Xbox conferences. But none of them hit the same way as having like a really meaty conference. And so this has replaced what E3 used to be. And so my hype levels are kind of at the same level that E3 used to be back in the day. Now, in terms of some things that I think they're going to show here for PlayStation specifically, and guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on these and your own thoughts about what they're going to show outside of our safe possible crazy predictions. I wouldn't be surprised to see more Sifu gameplay. Maybe like a full breakdown in terms of how that game works, in terms of like the deaths, in terms of how the combat works, in terms of breaking down, is it button combinations? Does it work like Arkham? How do you interact with items in the environment? I'd love to see like some kind of deep, in-depth playthrough of that. Maybe just like a level, like 5 minutes worth. Really like to see that. Stray, we haven't seen for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised to see that show up here. And also going into it, like you were saying about God of War, I wouldn't be too surprised here to see a full gameplay trailer Like full, someone comes out on screen, someone comes out, he's like, hi, I'm the game director, blah, 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 whatever he is. And it's just someone playing it. And us all just watch it and just fucking, they'd be like, oh, here's how we've improved the axe from last time. And, and they kind of go into it a little bit more in depth. I also wouldn't be surprised here to see either a full race of Gran Turismo, because that's coming out in March, and I wouldn't be surprised either to see even more Horizon gameplay. But in saying that, Horizon, I can imagine they'd do like a state of play in a couple of weeks' time, and they show more of that. So I think there's a lot here for us PlayStation faithful that we're going to get from this, more so than probably any other developer, I think, because Sony have been really quiet. They haven't really played any of their hands. We know none of their announcements coming up outside of this next year. I think there's a lot that we can get from this. What do you guys think? In terms of what could potentially be shown here, is there anything outside of our predictions that you guys are thinking, yeah, it's either a dead cert or I wouldn't be shocked to see it here? Spence, let's start with you first. What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, the obvious choices for myself are the ones I just mentioned, which would be Dead Space Remake and the Game We Can't Mention 4 Remake. I'd love to hear about Bluepoint's projects, what they're doing at the moment. I would love to hear about that. I adore Bluepoint so much. But other than that, maybe the Capcom space game that we didn't hear about much after it was announced. I know they put out a tweet or something a while ago, but we haven't heard really about it at all since.
I don't have a fucking clue. Nothing else to do, so that's all ask Google.
The game that I was talking about is called Pragmata. And that was the game where they kind of showed a little girl and a bloke in a spacesuit. And that was literally it. And then a while ago they tweeted out that girl holding something, I think, and it showed a date. And I think that date just said 2022 or 2023. And that was it. There's no specifics. So I would like, maybe not even gameplay, but I'd just like to know more about that game. What it is, what the story is, what it entails. Anything. Literally anything. But other than those few things that I think might be shown, I'm really not very sure.
I mean, I've got to say, if they show Dead Space gameplay, I'll be over the moon with it. Because the little bits they've shown, the little tiny sections, just fucking... I know, obviously, I'm a massive Dead Space fan. So I'm in frame one. That's literally... That's a pre-order straight away for that, like a special edition. If I can get like my own laser cutter, my own plasma rifle or my own plasma cutter, whatever it is, I'll be so over the moon with whatever they can give me with that, because they cannot fuck that up. All they have to do is just redo it in 4K and in brand new visuals, and that's it. It's a perfect game. That game plays like fucking butter. So yeah, I'll be over the moon with that. The Capcom game Pragmata, I think I need to see more. And this would probably be a good place to show it, to be fair. Get out in front of the largest audience, get people engaged with it. Obviously, we're all massive Capcom fans here, so they can't really go too wrong, but I do need to see it before I make a decision on that. What about yourself, Phil? What are you thinking they could bring to the table here?
Some great picks so far, boys. I'd be really excited. As much as I've not really jumped into Dead Space previously, I do plan to play through those games at some stage, either hopefully nominate them within a Spoilercast from the past or do them for my stream at some point. But guys, we've all missed out on a game that was the most, it was nominated for the most anticipated game last year, but actually lost to Elden Ring. I'm talking about Horizon Forbidden West. I know it's not long now, but no one's mentioned anything about it, and I think this is the time where we'll get something spectacular from the game, some sort of gameplay, some sort of visuals, at least a nod to it. It's a huge game for PlayStation, so why not put it on the biggest platform, which is the Game Awards?
So you're thinking they'll do this rather than my idea, which is have it as its own state of play? You think they'd have it here?
I think so. I think there's more eyes on it, because a state of play is just PlayStation eyes. At Game Awards, you've got PC, you've got Xbox, you've got a couple of people who play Nintendo looking at this, thinking, this is what's on PlayStation. This is what truly is gaming, I need to get myself a PlayStation 5. This is the biggest reason to buy one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Christ, I'll be over the moon with that. I'm in kind of two minds at the moment with anything that's shown with Horizon because of how close it is. I don't want to see too much, you know? Like, I want to see just enough, maybe just like a couple more weapons, maybe something like that. But I don't know if I want to see any more enemies or I don't want to see any more of the plot. Definitely not. I'm kind of in that weird moment like we were for the game that can't be mentioned, Village, where we didn't really want to see anything that Capcom was putting out, but we still watched every single thing they did. And fortunately, it didn't spoil the experience.
Capcom did it really well, though, didn't they? Because they kind of avoided all the plot points and really just focused in on Lady Dimitrescu. And they kind of built her up to kind of more than maybe what she was in the game. And ultimately, I was a little bit disappointed by the character because of that. So I think there is kind of clever ways to just kind of show the game, but not give away too much of the story, not give away kind of too many bosses. So let's hope they do the same sort of treatment for Horizon Forbidden West, because it's my most anticipated game. I cannot wait for that one to come out.
Well, guys, if any of our predictions come in or any of these games that we're putting up there actually get shown, we'll be over the fucking moon with it. And fortunately, it's only one more episode before we'll actually be covering what was actually shown. So let's just wait and see. I mean, for you listeners, you lucky bastards, you'll hear in this episode, and the day after is when we're at the Game Awards. So we've only got until Thursday to wait. Now, I'd love to hear what you guys think of the Game Awards in preparation for our episode 32. Write into the show via the email, pswetrust@gmail.com. And when we unpack what was shown at the Game Awards, we will make sure to include your questions. You can write in the email address, pswetrust@gmail.com.
I'll post out on Reddit. We'll have a special section where you can comment about the show and then sort of add your predictions and sort of opinions about the show. And hopefully if there is anything interesting there, we'll include it on our next episode.
And of course, reach out to us on Twitter. Tell us your opinions. Tell us what you think's happening. Tell us we're dickheads. Whatever you want to do. At NPS We Trust. Again, same thing. If just one of us is a dickhead, their individual Twitter will be in the podcast description below. So, boys, for our next and final topic of the evening, we have an article from Bloomberg stating that PlayStation is planning its own subscription service codenamed Spartacus. The service will be a free tier service, with one of them allowing access to a library of classic PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 and even PlayStation Portable games, and will supposedly be announced in Q1 of 2022 with launch planned for next spring. The service will merge Sony's two existing subscription plans, being PS Plus and PS Now, phasing out PS Now from existence. So boys, after me reading that, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about this supposed idea of PlayStation's? Phil, why don't you lead off?
Well, Spence, you know I'm a massive fan of PS Plus and PS Now. I'm actually a subscriber still of PS Plus, thanks to you boys. And I did see an amazing Amazon Black Friday deal to renew my subscription. So I have actually done that. Because I do a podcast, I feel as if I have to have a PS Plus subscription.
Let's fucking go, mate.
Unfortunately.
Let's go.
I say that with my head hung low, because some of the games that we've got out of PS Plus, I just personally don't think it's worth it. But hey, I'm in it for the long haul. I should be doing this podcast for at least another year because I'm going to be up to date with PS Plus. But for me, reading this, I just think is a marketing exercise. I totally understand why they've done this. PS Now isn't a recognizable brand compared to PS Plus. PS Plus being around a lot longer, and sort of merge the services and make it a lot easier makes complete sense to me. I don't understand why they tried to diversify things previously. This should have been their idea from the start, in my opinion. And
Davey, what are your thoughts?
So for me, you know I love PlayStation Plus. I mean, PlayStation Plus for the last year, someone on Reddit worked out it was $1,450 worth of value for that one price that we've paid. And for me, in terms of the games that we've had, I think it's been fantastic. Now, I've been...
Yeah, because you loved that dodgeball game, didn't
I
you?
love Dodgeball Game, mate. But this month we got Mortal Shell. I'm well looking forward to getting into Mortal Shell. I cannot wait to do that. Anyway, going back to it. A 3-tier service. One of them will own access to a library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and even PSP games. I love PS Now. I've been a PS Now subscriber for a long time. It's actually just elapsed, and I haven't renewed it. And the reason being is because I got such a big backlog. But the service has been great. It's just a shame that no one's really taken advantage of it. And I've been saying for a long time that I think they need to revamp it to really give it some legs, because the vast majority of players don't have PS Now. And I think the current stat at the moment is something like 48.5 million people have PS Now, have PS Plus. So to see them kind of ramp it up into like a 3-tier structure sounds really appealing. But do we know any details on what this 3-tier plan actually is?
Yeah, we do. We don't know anything about pricing yet, but we know that the first tier would include the existing PlayStation Plus benefits. The second would offer a larger catalogue of PlayStation 4 and eventually PlayStation 5 games. And the third tier would add extended demos, game streaming, and a library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games.
So diving off that, right? The first tier is what we got already. The second tier seems like a complete waste of time, if I'm honest. Like, that wouldn't get me to buy it. Getting a random extra assortment of PS4 games. Like, I don't really care about that. Tier 3, though. Tier 3
Game streaming, mate.
gets me interested, right? That gets me interested. Now, I was the first one that when I saw Nintendo's online pass and their online pass plus or whatever it was called, right? And they added N64 games into the mix and Sega Mega Drive games. I was the first one to say that was the fucking biggest rip-off I've ever seen in my life. So they charged like $64.99, whatever it was, to get some botched ROMs of N64 games on there. For me, the only reason I would be interested in this, seeing as I own the PlayStation 1, PS2, PS3, and I've got all the best games of those games here locally with me, would be if there's trophies. If there's trophies for PS1 games, I would go fucking mental. No matter what the cost is, I'm telling you now, if they add trophies into Metal Gear Solid and I can play that game and get a platinum, I will pay whatever the price is. If it's not, if it's just the ROM being put on, fuck that system. I do not care. Because Xbox already uplifts all the games and puts them into either up-res format or does things to make them easier to play now, right? And that's just built into Game Pass or built into the back end of Xbox architecture. Sony need to go the extra step with this, and they need to add full trophy integration for whichever games they're adding into this tier 3 service. Because if they do, that's a fucking moneymaker. And that will make me dive straight into that. But that's just my thought on this. Like, that's my biggest motivator for this, for already owning all this hardware and all the best games that are probably already on that hardware. What about you, Phil? You own most of these games.
Well, let's look at the tiers. Tier 1, I've already reluctantly subscribed to PS Plus for another year. So that isn't going to affect me. Tier 2, what are you hitting me with? We're going to be PS4 games and some PS5 games. I already own quite a lot of those games, which I'd want to play anyway. And ultimately, I don't see the barrier to buying these games anyway. You know, I'm at an age where I have disposable income, and it's no issue really. If I want a game, I just go out and buy it. Tier 3, I'm a collector of games. I have a massive array of PS1, PS2, PS3 games up on my shelf behind me. I regularly tweet out photos of my game collection. It's huge. I literally have no reason for this service. And a lot of these games, even if I wanted to play them, they're going to be a couple of quid on eBay or in a charity shop. So why pay the higher price for what's their tier 3? Their tier 3 offering seems to me completely pointless. I don't know how much money they're going to be like charging you for that, but a lot of the things that would be on those older consoles, they're going to be very, very cheap. As Davey said, they would need to do something extra, be that trophies, be that the up-res, I don't know. But if they're just going to give you what's on the PS1 disc, what's on the PS2 disc, what's on the PS3 disc, I ain't interested at all.
For myself, yeah, we already have tier 1, and that's great. Tier 1's fantastic. It kind of depends how the second tier works, if I'd be interested in it. Because if I could just upgrade for 1 month of the year, if the games they're offering are great games, maybe I'd do that. Just get them added to my library. Tier 3, I don't have a collection like you do, Phil. So it would be incentive to get it, because I would like to revisit some of those old games. Especially PSP games. PSP had some great games. But I think the biggest thing for me on this tier 3 is the extended demos. Because if we can get a demo for a game prior to a game's launch, I'd like to play it. Especially if it's a game I'm looking for, Elden Ring.
Spence, let me ask you a quick question. How has demos gone this year for you?
I've not played a single one.
I thought you played the Left 4 Dead Back 4 Blood demo.
The beta, yeah.
Like a beta these days is pretty much a demo, correct?
Yeah, I suppose it is, yeah.
And they've not gone that well, considering. I think demos generally have put us off. They've been quite negative towards the game they were buying.
But isn't that kind of the good thing about a demo, though? That's like the benefit to it, is that you can try the game out and not actually waste your money. Can you imagine? We would have wasted money on Diablo 2. We would have wasted money on Back 4 Blood this year. Just 2 games, right? And the games that have had successful betas, like Call of Duty Vanguard, we dived in straight away on. So a demo is really useful, I think, to be able to gauge your purchasing decisions. I mean, Christ, that's all we had on PS1 and PS2, was those demos. That was the majority of my gaming purchases was based on those demos. And sure, you can make them so they're a beta or an alpha when the game comes out in fucking 3 weeks' time. But we all know what they are, right? They're just definitely a demo. And I think it's a really good way. For the people that are publishing those demos, that's risky as fuck. Because the game could either be perceived really, really good or really, really bad. And you don't know until it's kind of already out in the wild. But for us as consumers, the more you can kind of experience a game and play it before you actually put your money down, the better.
I'm not sure I agree. I think times have changed. I think when you were a kid and you got a demo on the front of the PlayStation magazine and you put it in and it was janky as fuck, you wouldn't realize. You would still be hype on the game. But now we've grown up, we're hypercritical about games these days. We want the finished product. And if a demo, a beta, an alpha isn't to the high expectation that you have, you're put off from the game. Right? Back 4 Blood might have been absolutely amazing when it came out. I don't know the reviews. I haven't cared to look afterwards, right? Some of these games, they might have worked out really well if we had jumped in at that point. I think demos just do a disservice to games these days because we have such high expectations for what we want from them, and we don't look at them as if they're demos. We don't look at them as betas. We don't look at them as alphas. We just have high expectation. If it doesn't meet that, they're in the bin. Games these days, they're so disposable.
I think...
And that's just the culture we live in.
I got a contra to you because Back 4 Blood, looking at the Metacritic right now, it's a 77. And I'd probably say it's about a 70 from my experience. I'd say it's probably around that. If I look at Diablo 2, so Diablo 2 sitting at an 80, right? I certainly wouldn't give it that. The user scores at a 2.9, right? People are not happy with it. I think back in the day, I never remember a demo being bad. I always remember a demo being actually kind of inaccurate. It was more the case that the demo showed a better version of the game than you actually got. I remember that there was a demo for a game they ended up buying. I can't remember what it's called now. I know I mentioned it on a previous podcast. It's one where you throw in this like fucking bone shuriken thing across the environment. You can control it. Spencer, I know you said that you've played the game before back on PS3 as well. You're this guy, he's got like some metal arm and he throws this thing. And this demo was goated. The demo was actually fucking incredible. And I bought the game and it was so bad. It was so bad. It was just that the one section I played was the only good bit of the game. So you can make a game look way better than it actually is with a demo. I think probably the best way of doing this would be like doing what Steam does, where Steam gives you like an hour trial of a game. And that would be the way that I would do this as far as Sony. Say, yeah, whatever you buy digitally, because they obviously want you to buy digital, because that's how they get, pretty much 100% of the money, give you an hour free trial. And if you don't like it, you get a refund straight on PlayStation Store. That's the easiest thing in the world for me.
The problem with that is the game's got to be finished, right?
Yes, so it's got to be a game that's already out in the wild. It can't be like a game that's pre-released. It would have to be a game that's come out, and you could buy it on PlayStation Store, play the first hour. If you don't like it, refund it.
So that's what I'm expecting with this tier 3, is that it's going to be a pre-release demo, isn't it? And that's what they're trying to entice you with, that you'll get something extra that no one else has got. But if I'm a games developer, would I want to barrier it off to a tier 3? I don't think I would, really. I'd want to give it to everyone and get the widest appeal on it. I'd want it out just on the PS Store. I wouldn't want it being tier 3 to those premium subscribers to be able to get my demo. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. The game is Dark Sector, where you throw the boomerang.
That's it. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, you controlled it with the 6-axis. It was abysmal.
Shocker.
But my thoughts for this extended demos is I would ideally want it to either be like the game trials they did with Sackboy and Death Stranding, that same kind of thing, or extended demos. I would like it to be pre-release games, but considering it's tier 3 of the PlayStation service, I'd expect it to be first-party single-player games, where they pick one part of a polished part of the game, let you play it, and just give you a taste of that world. And that's what I'd want, and I'd love to get to play the next Uncharted early, Bloodborne 2 early, Bluepoint's next project early, the Wolverine, Spider-Man 2. PlayStation doesn't let us down. And if just for a chance to play these games early, Last of Us 3.
I was just thinking that. Can you imagine you get to play the first, half hour of Last of Us 3? Or, just a random section of Last of Us 3. And you're like, yeah, you get this, a month before release because you're tier 3.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where when you were a kid in school, if you told them all, yo, I have tier 3, all your mates would be around your house. They'd be like, yo, please, let me just come try it, please. I just want Last of Us 3, man. Let me play it once, just one time. And you're just like, no. I'll tell you about it tomorrow.
You can watch on my YouTube where I streamed it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually brings up quite an important question there, Davey. With these demos being pre-released, and maybe we're going down the route of what Spencer's saying is going to be like first-party games. It's going to be games that you really want to play, Are they going to be able to stream them? Because you might want to hide all that because it's only for the tier 3. It might be properly gated content.
There's a proper difference, though, isn't there, between someone playing it and someone watching it. There's a huge difference there. And we always get to the point where, IGN, GameSpot, whatever it is, they always put up a pre-release bit of footage that they've had from their preview of the game is what they call it, their preview, where they played 3 hours of the game and they kind of describe it and they've got so much footage they've captured. It would be that, but instead of it being just for the press, it's for the tier 3s. And that to me is... That combined with the library would be reason enough to buy tier 3. Obviously, there's a lot of questions here. Price is a major one. How much would I pay for tier 3? It all depends. If you say, right, well, on PlayStation Store, it's 50 quid for PlayStation Plus. Obviously, no one ever pays 50 quid for PlayStation Plus. You have to be mental for that. You can get it for 30 quid online. Say tier 3 is 70 quid. Would I pay that? Probably. I probably would. $69.99. If I think about it and I get all the tier 2 benefits, so I get all the extra games, and I get access to the PS1, PS2, PS3, yeah, probably would. I think that would be a good price. Any higher than 70, and you're really pushing it, I think. I'd be happy for that. I mean, I'm just really happy with my PlayStation Plus catalog right now. I'm paying like 40 odd quid for it a year. I'm more than happy with that. I don't think that's too bad. What do you guys reckon this is going to come in terms of price?
Well, my question would be, do you think they're going to go down the Microsoft route and heavily reduce it for your kind of like introductory offer? Like Netflix does, every sort of streaming service does, join for a month, it's 99p, something like that, just to bring you into the service and maybe give you PS Plus for that reduction, seeing as now we're rebranding PS Now as part of PS Plus. Have the full thing for 99p for your first month if you haven't subscribed before.
I think the smarter way of doing it would be that if you're an existing PlayStation Plus member, that you don't have to pay any extra for Tier 3, and you make it so that at the end of your subscription method, you don't have to pay any extra. But
I think that's wishful thinking. When have you ever known a company to reward existing customers?
Literally never.
It doesn't happen, Davey. So you're going to have to come up with that other identity that you go by on the internet and sign up for a second PlayStation account.
Johnny Big Dick's going to have to come out of retirement and just come straight in for the PlayStation Plus introductory offer of 99p for 3 months or whatever. I'm going to have to do that.
It was your email that gave it away, Davey. Davey Fields Boobs or Davey Loves Boobs or something.
Davey Likes Boobs at hotmail.com. Great email. Back in the day, rest in peace, that email address. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be something really, really wrong of Sony doing that. Like, Xbox are doing it because they're losing. They're fucking getting absolutely trampled all over. Even with this new generation, they're getting absolutely decked by Switch and by PlayStation. They need to do something to get people into that environment. That's why they're giving so much content. That's why they're giving so much free away, because they're getting fucked. Anyone who's getting absolutely bodied doesn't need to get that much up. And Sony are in a really good position right now where they're market leader for console gaming. You don't need to do this. Like, I don't even see Game Pass as a threat. And it's obviously not a threat, because Halo players, after 2 weeks of playing it, have dropped off to being fucking nothing. It's not a bother. It's really not. I think this is just a smart way to get a little bit of extra money, of them to say that they're rivaling Game Pass, even though it isn't anything like Game Pass. Because one thing that's missing from this, guys, and this is actually worth branching off here, they're not mentioning here about any new games coming to this pass. None. So it's not like Game Pass, where you get the day and date Xbox games coming straight to that service. It's not here. Do you think that's an Achilles heel, or do you think that's actually a strength of PlayStation?
I think for me, if I was PlayStation, I wouldn't want the day and date top tier games come into this service, because I want you to pay for them. I want to bring you into the service. Brilliant. I want you subscribing, because everything these days is as a service. If you look at Apple, you look at Microsoft, you look at anything, Netflix, it's all a service. Everyone has got us paying that £10 or whatever it is a month to them. It's a brilliant way to keep you and bring you into the loop and upsell you. And this is what Sony's going to do. They're going to show you the demo of The Last of Us 3. And then they're going to go, The Last of Us 3 is 70 quid if you want it. You've played the demo. It might be a month earlier than your mates, but it's still 70 quid for you. I don't think you'll get any reduction, personally.
That's what I want. I'd be happy with that, to be fair. I personally think day and date would be stupid. It would actually be a stupid idea for PlayStation. They have no need to do it whatsoever. Even if I get to play Last of Us 3 a month early, I'm still happy to fork out 70 quid for that game. Collector's edition, mate. I love Last of Us. I'll do whatever I can to get more of that game. So day and date, I think, would kill it. It would be too good a service, depending on the price point.
Xbox is only day and date because they're just flogging old games. Like, there's nothing new there, is there?
Well, you got Forza, but I mean, that's it, right? I mean, like Halo, you still got to pay for the campaign, so you don't get that free as part of it. You still got to pay for that, as far as I'm aware. That doesn't come day and date with Game Pass, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so if they get Forza and we got Gran Turismo on this service, are you going tier 3?
Not for Gran Turismo, I wouldn't. No, I don't really give two fucks. I mean, I'm not buying Gran Turismo regardless, right? I'm just not going to. I personally just feel like I don't mind paying for quality. And I mean, I know this is like a crazy thing. Like, you go on Twitter or whatever, and it's full of like all Xbox people, or you go on like IGN or GameSpot, and they all talk about the value of Game Pass. But to me, it's like, I'm just quite happy paying 60, 70 quid for a fucking top tier experience. There's a reason why I go to the cinema instead of watching it at home. I prefer to watch, like, I prefer to experience things in their best possible environment. And for me, if I can pay 70 quid and I get the quality that I get from PlayStation Studios, I'm fucking down for that. Like, I've never come away from a PlayStation Studios game and thought, yeah, that wasn't worth it. Like, never. Like, literally never. And if
Have you not played NAC?
No. No, I have not, but I didn't pay for it. But this is what I'm saying, right? Like, whereas on Xbox Game Pass, you know that like 3/4 of the games that they're saying are coming out over 2022, 2023 are going to be fucking shit. You know, they're going to be like gutter trash. Whereas I know that like God of War, Horizon, sure, GT, it's not for me. But even that, I know it's going to be quality. And I can't say that if it was going to be a subscription-based payment method for it. It would make me feel like we'd have The Last of Us launch with some shitty cosmetics, or God of War would launch with a different type of Leviathan axe that you can only get if you get these loot crates or this kind of battle pass mechanic. Just like the way they've ruined Halo's multiplayer now with all this fucking battle pass shit because it's a free-to-play game. It's like, I feel like quality speaks for itself. And so I'm quite happy paying for that.
Bring back cartridges, mate. They couldn't do any of this upsell when it was locked into a cartridge. That's what we need. Bring it back.
We do. When there would be like 50 cartridges just for Metal Gear Solid 1. Let alone, you'd unpack Last of Us 3 and it would be like you're opening the Bible. It would be like, you'd open it up and it'd be like one cutscene. Oh, put in cartridge 1. Put it in. The cartridge ends. Oh, fuck. Cartridge 2. Put it in. Blow on it a little bit. Wipe it. Put it in.
Yeah, of course, because we'd still be using technology from like the 1990s, wouldn't we? If we brought back cartridges now, we'd be like, cartridge technology hasn't moved on, so we'll still use 30-year-old technology.
Yeah, definitely. Straight away. You're just like, oh god damn, I forgot how good this was. Blow on it. But you,
Davey, do you remember the floppy disk, right?
Yeah, it's just in floppies now.
We now have USB pens that are a lot bigger than floppy disks. So I think that technology might have moved on.
I don't think cartridges has, mate. I don't think it has.
Well, they haven't brought any out, so probably they've just stopped, haven't they?
Well, the latest cartridges we have are DS cartridges, really, aren't they?
Yeah. Fair. So they're tiny.
They're definitely bigger.
Fair.
They're tiny and definitely got more room for information.
Yeah, not much though. Not enough. What you do is you make them the same size as like a Sega Genesis cartridge, but like DS technology. So you could at least have, it'd be like 10 cartridges maybe for a game. But
I just think you go bigger with cartridges.
Make them massive.
They're like a suitcase if you want to play the next Metal Gear.
The dream. We're going way off topic here, lads. So just to bring it back on point here, what are your hype levels with this? Are we actually excited? Me and Spence, you seem pretty much on par with me with this. We're pretty excited. Depending on the price, tier 3 could be a contender. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, it definitely is depending on the price, because my main concern is that 1 month of PS Plus, I mean, sure, it gets cheaper the longer you subscribe, but 1 month is £7. So I'm thinking tier 2 would probably be like £12. Tier 3 would have to be at least 20 quid. So the year-long subscription, I am terrified to know how much that will cost. if what you're saying is accurate, and it's going to be 70 quid, fantastic. Yeah, that is great news, and I would probably subscribe. If it's any more than that, Christ, I don't know. I'm scared to see the numbers.
And what about yourself, Phil? How are you feeling on this, seeing as you're so down on PlayStation Plus in a normal time?
Mate, I begrudge any subscription service. I hate PS Plus. I have a NAS drive sitting behind me with loads of different TV shows that I've downloaded back in the day when that was okay to download TV shows. So I even hate Netflix. I hate music subscription services. I have all my old CDs of all the old bands that I used to love on Kerrang. Why am I subscribing to Spotify? I very much dislike all the subscription service. So I ultimately try and keep it down to a minimum when I have to subscribe to these things. So I wouldn't be going anything further than tier 1, and that's only because I'm forced to have that to be able to play online with you boys.
Listener, I'd love to know how you feel. Obviously, with Spotify, we're a big fan of Spotify, no matter what Phil says, because our podcast is on there. And that is with the majority of you listen to us or watch us, as we're now on Spotify video. If you've enjoyed the episode, the best way to be able to support us, listener, is to leave a review on Apple, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. I would love to see some reviews on there because it does help us with the algorithms. So please, if you can find 2 minutes of your time, leave a rating on there. I'd really, really appreciate it. But that has been episode 31 of In PS We Trust. I'd love to know what you guys think about this PlayStation Tier 3 and all the different tiers that are apparently part of Spartacus. Write into the email pswetrust@gmail.com.
If you're a tier 3, tier 2, or even just a tier 1, or you don't want to subscribe to any of these, please jump on the Reddit. That is a free service, so you can subscribe to Reddit, sign up for an account. It's free. Jump on then and join the conversation.
Also, reach out to us on Twitter @InPSWeTrust. Give us some insight on your thoughts of the topics we've discussed, or feel free to reach out to any of us on our individual Twitter accounts, which will be in the description below.
Thank you ever so much for listening. I really hope you've enjoyed the show. I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Spencer.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.